Yeah. So they are applied to a Band-Aid and stuck to your arm, and that makes a ferocious itch in a pretty short period of time that's really amazing. And 24 hours later, take the Band-Aid off. There's no more itch. If there is some itch, you can use the hydrocortisone, and that seems to work just fine for me, or take some Benadryl. It was really not a bad thing at all. It was pretty innocuous.
Right on.
And the actual various life cycles of the hookworm, I really don't notice that much.
I mean, the stages they go through as they're migrating through your body to take up residence in the intestines.
Right. I noticed kind of an immediate reduction of allergies and asthma, almost within the first couple of days.
Oh, that's right, the bounce that some
Yeah,
people get.
the bounce and a slightly euphoric feeling.
Right.
It feels, you have a real positive energy about you. It just feels really nice. It's kind of strange.
Yeah.
I don't fully understand that. I'll be glad when that's explained, because there's something going on there.
Well, no, there isn't. There are some papers I can give you about that, about what's going on.
Yeah. So that's kind of a cool thing. So you immediately get some relief,
Right.
which is interesting. And the other life cycle I didn't really notice so much with the lungs and whatever, and esophagus and trachea and all that kind of thing. Didn't so much notice all of that. Got a little bit of a cough that may have been attributed to it, but it wasn't anything noticeable so much. And when they finally do set up shop in the intestines, I get pretty good diarrhea for a few weeks, but it's not so bad.
Right.
Yeah. Actually, I never had like lost control,
Right.
So any diarrhea that you don't lose control of is okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Just drink plenty of water and that goes away.
Okay.
And then I had really, really vicious gas for a couple of weeks.
That's
And
what I remember. You described it as toxic.
yeah, war gas. Like some kind of
right.
a chemical weapon type
Right.
thing. It's so bad it's funny.
Right, right.
I don't know if that's been common or not.
No, it's, like everything else we've learned with the side effects. Some people get this aspect or that aspect of them. Some, of course, get no side effects. Some people get everything. But
Mhm.
the gas is like everything else. It's probably about 5 or 10% of people get it.
Hmm. Gotcha. Yeah. So those symptoms go away after only a few weeks, and then the allergies start to get regulated down more and more and more every week. I would have periods where I would occasionally have a little bit of an allergy attack and have to take some medicine, but for the most part, the incidence of any allergy attack started to decrease, and the amount of time between them would increase until I essentially have none.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long did that whole process take from the moment you got the Band-Aid on your arm until you could say, I'm done with allergies?
Almost 4 months, 3 to 4 months, somewhere in that range, maybe 5 or 6. I'm not really good with measurement of
Right.
time, actually.
Well,
I'm
also,
kind of bad
it's
like
one
that.
of those things that, if your allergies are dependent on something you're not really aware of except by virtue of the fact you have allergies and they come and go, it's sometimes hard to say when they've actually stopped.
Right. You tend to notice feeling bad instead of feeling good. You
Right.
tend to ignore feeling good, kind of, in some ways.
Right.
Yeah, but I would never be without large quantities of allergy medication. Now I have just a few kinds around and like an emergency thing just in case, because I have a lingering fear of it.
Right.
Some critters here.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even really bother me that I don't have a large quantity of allergy medications or an asthma inhaler or any of that kind of stuff around.
So you had asthma as well as allergies?
Yeah, and that was getting worse over time. And that was actually the first thing I noticed. That went away the quickest. It was
Really?
gone. It was gone almost immediately. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Were there any other things going on with your body at the time, or with your health that hookworm may have had an impact on, or seem to have had an impact on?
Absolutely. Yeah, I have had hypoglycemia for about the last 12 years. I had to be really, really careful what I ate all the time. I couldn't eat any refined flour or that kind of stuff. Just had to stay away from sugar. I had a PDA with me all the time that told me when to eat. The alarm would go off like every 3 hours. It was time to eat something. I had to be really, really, really vigilant about eating on a regular schedule. Otherwise, I would just have a sugar crash.
Wow.
And just be flat on the ground. I would not get hungry. I would not experience hunger until it was too late.
Right.
And that actually has been completely reversed. I have no hypoglycemia at all. And that's almost as big a deal as the allergies being gone.
Right.
On order of importance, I'd say the allergies were more important for me. But it was unexpected and absolutely delightful to have no hypoglycemia anymore whatsoever. As far as I know, we don't know what the reason for that is. It's something possibly with inflammation in the pancreas or that sort of thing.
Right.
That's reversed by the hookworm, maybe. But all I know is it totally went away.
So, and your mother had type 1 diabetes, is that true?
Yeah, my mother had type 1 diabetes, or currently has type 1 diabetes. She just had an insulin pump installed about a month ago. And my dad actually died of pancreatic cancer.
Wow.
So there's a pancreas thing going on there, possibly from both sides genetically. Yeah.
And I'm not a doctor, obviously, or a scientist, but my understanding is that hypoglycemia is actually a symptom of various diseases, but particularly diabetes.
Yeah, I think it's probably some pre-diabetic condition of some sort, from what I've heard. Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's a nice side benefit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's
so you're
that's
walking
huge.
around with all these worms in your intestine, which, for the science tells us, are about 1 centimeter long and 0.5 millimeter wide. Are you ever aware that you are hosting this parasite?
Completely unknown. There's absolutely no day-to-day symptom. Once the diarrhea and gas went away after a few weeks, there's no day-to-day symptom whatsoever. Absolutely none. It's completely unknown. And I've had people react in such a way that they say, "Oh, that's gross, that's terrible." What's gross and terrible are allergies. And blowing snot everywhere all the time and sneezing your head off, that's gross. The hookworm is not gross compared to the allergies. It's just absolutely the opposite is true. Anyway, so no, the hookworm is not in no way noticeable. It has no disgusting side effects whatsoever.
Well, is there any kind of downside to being infected with hookworm at all?
Not that I can tell. Yeah, I have found no downside to it at all. I'm not aware of any.
That's great.
Yeah, at least not with the levels that we have them as a therapeutic. I guess if you had hundreds of them or thousands, you might be in some kind of nutritional trouble.
Right.
But at the levels that are therapeutic, I can't tell that there's any downside at all.
All
I have
right.
no reduction in energy at all. I have more energy than I've ever had before, as a matter of fact. So, yeah.
That's great.
Mhm.
I think I've asked all my questions amazingly. So, is there anything else? Is there anything you'd like to say that I haven't asked you about? Is there anything you wanted to tell people?
But prior to this therapy being successful for me, my life was probably nearly ending. I was at the point where I was probably going to have to just kill myself to get it over with, because I was going downhill at just a precipitous rate. It was just out of control. None of the allergy medications at any level were starting to work anymore. It was just awful. I was sleeping 18, 19 hours a day, just couldn't ever wake up, and was just barely able to function. And this has completely reversed that. I got a brand new job, make plenty of money, take care of myself fully, and not have to. I don't have any problems like I had when it was headed downhill quick. It was really going to get to the point where just the continuous burden of the allergies was just going to kill me, or force me to kill myself from not being able to just deal with it.
Sure.
And this absolutely halted that completely, and I'm a new person. So it's that's the only thing I have to add, really, is that it was completely successful.
That's great. So I take it you'd do it again?
In a second.
And you'd
Absolutely.
recommend it to other people?
Absolutely. I recommend it to anybody that has allergies. Now, I don't know about the other possible treatments for the bowel conditions and this, that, and the other. I know almost nothing about those.
Sure.
But with the allergies and asthma, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend anybody do it.
Right on. Well, thank you very much, Todd.
Are you welcome?
Right on.
Mm-hmm.